Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. A lot of things to talk about today. First and foremost, I got a new baby dwarf rabbit, and I don't know if you can hear him back there, but I wasn't so sure if I wanted to pick him up, and I'm not used to picking him up. Like, I picked him up, but I'm worried about their back legs and stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to hold them properly. They don't like being held anyways, but I might show you at the end. But anyways, the thumbnail picture is the picture that I responded to buy this guy. So he's a purebred. He's called a blue otter. So he's got like bluish colored fur, and I had a black otter before many years ago, and they have like like their ears are like white, kind of like white tipped. They have it under here. The back of their neck is like it's like a brownish color. It's really cute anyways, but if you can hear him in the background with his water. But anyhow, change for me anyways. It is some responsibility. It's as much responsibility as a dog, so I haven't had anything like this before. I had a rabbit before, but and I did help take care of him, but it still wasn't. It was our family's. Let me see here. They're so cute, right? They're little treasures, right? They're silent. Anyways, a lot of important topics I want to talk about today. Let's see what they are. I guess the title of this, and there's just multi things I want to talk about, but I wanted to do a comparison. There's just so much stuff going on, right? Trump shooting and all that type of stuff. I just wanted to briefly talk about the difference in the belief of Adventism. I've showed you videos, and this was my pathway at first. And what I'm talking about is, okay, what is it? Revelation. When they're talking about the beast, is of the eighth, right? Let me just see quickly here. Beast is of the eighth, and it'll come up right away. Revelation 17. So those passages that talk about that, right? And so I wanted to do a comparison of what Adventists believe versus what I believe is the truth. Both of them, I think, have a good reason to be what they are. Both of them fit. Both fit. But the more likely one is not the Adventist one. So I've seen that, what is the beast? What are these kingdoms? All these things. And they have some of it right, but they're not understanding. They're leaving out kingdoms. I'm going to get to that. There's some things I want to talk about first. I'm going to have to pace myself here properly because of my speaking, but Trump getting shot yesterday. I said, how many times have I said to you that there's probably going to be a civil war? I've said it. That's the way it's heading. I've looked at war long enough to see what's happening. I think it's a purposeful divide by the rich families of the earth. Satanic agendas, right? They want one side against the other. And if that wasn't an Antifa shooter, I don't really have any opinion on what happened because I don't know enough about it yet. I know a guy climbed up. I have no idea how that whole place wasn't covered if it was a small area. How if someone was able to go up on the roof at all, that just sounds very strange. And that I saw the witness say, "We're pointing to the secret police. Look, he's climbing up with an AR, right?" I'm sure some people are going to come out and they're going to say that it was a setup, but I'm sure they have enough footage to probably see that bullet. They'll be able to slow that footage down. Footage is good enough now that you can do that. And there was enough angles, I'm sure. They'll see it. They'll trust me. They'll do it. They'll do a lot of forensic stuff. But here's the reality. I self-studied World War II for a long time. Hitler had something like 26 or 27 attempts on his life. Not like that. Well, some were that close. Well, no, I wouldn't say that close. But if he was in a beer hall, the Keller beer hall, a guy planted explosives in a pillar, just like a pillar of a building. He opened it up, he put it in, and when he left, then it exploded. It was because Hitler left too early. One of Hitler's strategies was always leave early, and it's saved his life many times. Remember, he said, "This is Providence." So with Trump, listen, no matter what you think about Donald Trump, just think about this. Just got to make sure this is recording. The information I'm giving here is good, and you're probably not going to hear it anywhere else. Donald Trump I don't think I'm special. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm over 1,000 subs now. Thanks, guys. I brought myself to a point where I say I don't even care. I don't care. I just want to talk the truth. That's it. Hope I save some people. Hope I get to some people. And that's what matters to me. If the media never bothered Donald Trump and just let him be who he is and do the things that he does, remember, he was the guy who stopped the money train of wars. You have to understand who owns the media. So do you think people would think the way they think about Trump right now if the media wasn't? They own the media. The left owns the media. So it's possible. He's a good man. It's possible. And you have to vote one way or another. And some people choose not to vote. That's okay. But if you're voting for the left, you're going to be voting for some pretty bad stuff. So I would say vote. So it missed him. No, it didn't miss him. It hit him. Hit his ear. I saw it like across his face. That would have been civil war right there. I guarantee it. It would have been the start of something. I live in Canada, and Canada has to have a plan. We do have a plan if you guys go into civil war. We have powerful weapons too, but you guys have like 300 million guns. So what I was saying about Donald Trump is no matter what you think about him, remember, he identified Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which is a big thing. And I'm not saying he's a born-again Christian. That's not what I'm saying. God can use anybody. God used Cyrus, right? I would have to imagine that God was somehow involved. Somehow. An inch within his life. I know one guy died. That's where I'm going to leave it. I don't know where this goes, but you see the writing on the wall. You see this. You see they're so evil on the left side. And I don't think the right is evil, but it's a back and forth that you just don't really want to be a part of, but you still want to stand up for good. And the right is good. When you go way far right. I'm surprised there hasn't been a COUP. I'm really surprised from all the evil I've seen come from this side. So that's what I have to say about that part. This is going to be a long video, guys, so just give me a second. I love this little guy, man. Oh, I called him Joshua, by the way. I kind of knew I was going to give him a biblical name. He's cleaning himself, but I let him out and he jumps up, like he goes from one end of the carpet to the other and like just the splits there so quick, man. He's 4 months old. He jumps up in the air, kicks his legs. So, you know, and associated actually with this, I'm not done. They're like, this man, I just saw a quick video this morning when I woke up, and you know, usually I wake up, I read the Bible, then I turn on YouTube and I let some videos play. And the first one I saw his face is the guy I did a video about. I erased one of those videos because I thought I was actually acting kind of rude, and I apologize for that. He's in the NAR movement. Remember, it was the Last Days ministry. And a lot of stuff he says does not come true. A lot of stuff these people say don't come true. You know it, I know it. And so they're like, he got this correct. And they go back and they show him, and they're showing what he said. You know, he's making a lot of predictions. Of course, something is eventually going to come true. They all focus on Donald Trump. Okay. And in the video, it said, he said that it would go by his ear and cause him to go deaf, explode his eardrum. I don't think that happened, and I don't think a bullet would do that, but that still makes his prediction wrong. But you understand what I'm saying. They will run away with this. That brings me to another thing. Speaking of the NAR, the National Apostolic Movement, I believe gifts have ceased. What do I mean by that? Gifts, miracles, all those things. What you see in Acts, what you see in the Gospels, they were there for a specific amount of time to fulfill a purpose, to get people to believe. And people said, well, it was still happening after Jesus. Well, because of Paul the Apostle and because of the original apostles. It stopped then with those guys. How do I know this? How do I know this? They haven't completely ceased, but I'm going to explain what that means. If you read Paul's later epistles and you read Peter's epistles, it shows that they're praying for people who are very sick. Why are they doing that? If they have these gifts, then why aren't they healing their good brothers? Because it's not in the will of God. All those healings were to fulfill, for people to believe. So it stopped. You can go read all you want about it. Those gifts ceased. But here's what I want to say about it. The way that those gifts were, how blatant, how obvious, those types have stopped. Could I pray for somebody and they would have a miraculous healing? Was my life a miraculous healing? It was. You don't hear a lot about those types of stories, though, like, you know, putting a hand on someone and they're instantly healed the way that they're showing in the National Apostolic Movement. No. Some people do have gifts of prophecy. I do believe that. But they're so few and far between. But they exist. So I still think miracles. I still think, like David Wilkerson. And there's others too. I just haven't read a lot about those people. That's not important to me. It's cool to hear them. Because if they get even one thing wrong, I can't listen to them again. There's still good stuff out there. We can be healed by the Holy Spirit. Give me a little break. I'm going to pace here, guys. Still cleaning himself. I got a fairly big cage. A little bit bigger than my folks had, and we used to put a box in it, and he would hide in it, and he'd sit on the top of it, fall off it when he fell asleep. But this one has like a second level. I'll show you at the end of this video. But anyways, it's like it's kind of obstructing me be able to go and grab him. Anyways, oh, and then I'm going to tell this, and then I'm going to get to Adventism. I'm going to get some other stuff. Adventism versus what I believe now. It'd be better if I showed this sitting down to dinner doing an edited video, but I think I can still explain it. Do you know why I got this rabbit? I knew I wanted a pet, right? And I didn't want a pet like a dog that would wake me up. I have intractable pain. I need my sleep. Or a cat that would do that to me. I didn't want anything that would bark or anything like that. And the thing that really pushed me to get this pet was what happened to me about 3 weeks ago. Maybe over 3 weeks ago. No, it's almost 3 weeks ago. When I was assaulted in the tunnel. Assault and battery. I remember when I was feeling really, well, it would be psychologically sick. I was having trouble catching my breath, shallow breath, and I was having flashbacks for about five full days. I felt really awful. No matter what I did, it was right on the forefront of my mind, and I'm like, I know I have to get a treatment pet. So you wonder sometimes, like, how would I equate this? Because I was assaulted, I ended up with this little treasure, right? Or otherwise I may have not have done that. There are bad things that happen that push you to good things. Like 6 million Jews killed. If that didn't happen, well, it would have happened anyways because it was in Scripture. But the Jews wouldn't have had their homeland. By the way, you see how bad the anti-Semitism is in the United States and the world. I believe they're all going to move. A lot of them are going to move. In Canada, this is horrible. I can't make it out in the street and do that type of thing. But if it was right by here, sure, I would attend in Israel. Just to hold. I wouldn't hold up an Israeli flag, but I'd be there with them type thing. What's happening is horrible. Anyways, that's my own opinion about this. I do think they're peaceful people, and if I mention this, my video may get blocked, but I hope they take out every single one of them. They think they can do that? Dismember, burn, do all that? And then come to the table and try to negotiate with you? Think about that. And the only reason is because the world is against. It's not. It really isn't. It's the people who are in the universities, and not just universities, but I want to say it's a lot of Muslims. Okay, that's just the way it is. How am I supposed to do this channel without telling the truth? You know full well what it is. But it's not just them. It's a lot of different ethnicities. People are fooled. All right. So let's talk about Adventism first. So I'm doing Adventism versus what it really means about the 6th and 7th is really of the 8th type thing in Revelation 17, and I'll read that too. It was very confusing, and I didn't find the Adventists were good with that particular one, Revelation 17, and what I'm talking about. So here I'm in the Catholic system, or was. I open up a Bible, I start reading the Bible, I start learning, and I'm like, this goes completely against the Catholic Church. This isn't what the Catholic Church teaches us. And a lot of anger and resentment built up. I start watching things like Joseph Prince, Joyce Meyer, those types of people when I first moved in this building, because I was searching for the truth. I remember thinking, there's no Jesus in this. They're saying Jesus is about every, 10 minutes. I remember I'd feel happy if I heard. Why did I do that? Because I'm not even thinking. And the further I read into it, the further I started to realize. And I knew there was a problem with the Catholic Church, and I knew it was big. Okay? I knew it was big. And I never became an Adventist, but I started to look. I found they're pure people. They can call them a cult. I think they're good people. But now I know the Sabbath wasn't meant for us. It was for the Jews. It was for the Jews. It's the very core of the Abrahamic covenant. And by the way, I found another verse that proves it was given only to them. Let's look at it. So you want to know? People never talk about this one. Where did I put it? Ezekiel 20. Oh, I didn't put a... Okay, let's listen to this. So you want to know, you celebrate the Sabbath? It's the Abrahamic covenant. The very core of it is, like the Ten Commandments and the Sabbaths. Those were not given to the Gentiles. But I will not tell you not to celebrate it, because I'm not going to judge you that way, and I think it's actually a good thing if you think it's good. So listen. Ezekiel 20. I'll start at 18. But I said to the children in the wilderness, so God is talking to Ezekiel, don't walk in the statutes of your fathers, nor observe their judgments, nor defile yourself with their idols. I am the Lord your God. Walk in my statutes, keep my judgments. So he's talking to the Jews here, and God is talking to Ezekiel about the Jews in the wilderness. Walk in my statutes, keep my judgments, and do them. Hallow my Sabbaths, and they will be a sign between me and you, not the Gentiles, the Jews. People never mention this verse. I just happened to be reading Ezekiel yesterday. That you may know that I am the Lord your God. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They didn't walk in my statutes and were not careful to observe my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them. But they profaned my Sabbaths. Then I said I'd pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the wilderness. Nevertheless, I withdrew my hand and acted for my name's sake because of Moses. Well, for both. That it should not be profaned in the sight of the Gentiles, and who said I had brought them out. Remember, Moses changed his mind from making Moses a people out of Moses, a great people, and getting rid of Israel. Also, I raised my hand in an oath to those in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the Gentiles, and dispersed them throughout the countries, because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes and profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were fixed on their fathers' idols. Guys, they aren't talking about Gentiles. It has nothing to do. That's Ezekiel 20 if you want to go read and study that. Okay, I'm a little uncomfortable here. You're going to have to give me 25 seconds. Okay, so I found the Adventist view very intriguing. I found it to be true. And there's some videos out there by like a School for Prophets. I'm still subscribed to him. That a lot of pieces of the puzzle seem to fit together. And, excuse me, I don't know if I erased my videos. That could be 200 videos ago. It could be less. Like I said, I don't erase my stuff. I'm on a journey. But I started to follow the evils of the Catholic Church, and I found a lot of evil. A lot of traditions of men like indulgences, the rosary, Mary worship, transubstantiation, which is, the Eucharist bringing Christ down again when he's the once and for all. Right? So really, literally millions of times a day they're doing this, and they're blaspheming Christ by doing that. It's a lot of bad. All the history was obvious. The Dark Ages, when they kept us away from the Bible, all that's horrible, man. And so where it says in the Bible that, there's a deadly head wound and it will be healed, it can go one of two directions now for the views that I know, and it can only be one of those two. And I believe the new one over it, because the explanation from the Adventists leave out the Egyptian Empire and the Assyrian Empire, and I'll explain that in a second. So one of the key things to the Adventists is that there's a deadly head wound, and then it was healed. They believe America is and they're correct about this, there's a beast from the sea and a beast from the earth. And they say the beast from the sea is in a place of many people. That's what the sea means in the Bible. It means like multitudes of people, a populated area. And that would be Italy, right? That'd be Rome. Around that area was the most populated area in those times. And, the deadly wound was healed. What was that deadly wound? They say that it was, and it makes sense. So the papacy ruled for, 1260 years. You know that 1260 year prophecy, right, of Daniel? 1260 is really days, is really years. The official start of the Roman Empire, okay? And don't get me on this, it's something like I forget what it is, 495 or 535. 598 to 1798, and it goes exactly 1260 years. But what's important about that date? Those 1260 years were those dark times, okay? And they were I have to think about it. Napoleon, 1798. You know all the hell that he caused, right? He was so fed up with, this is just what I remember, taking orders from the papacy, because the papacy was powerful, right? But Napoleon was also very powerful. They were afraid of him. They had to have like their own NATO type thing against him to beat him. He asked his General Berthier, to go and arrest the Pope. Okay? So the Pope was arrested. They did get him. And he was exiled and he died. That's what I remember. And it was exactly 1260 years. It fits. So why wouldn't you believe it, right? That was the deadly head wound. The end of papacy control. So that was pretty convincing to me. And what was also convincing to me was that the deadly head wound being healed is America. Because Britain just goes over to America, the land beast, the sea, the beast from the sea, then the beast from the earth. The earth, a very open and expanse area. And if you just look at all the buildings of Rome, and you look at all the buildings, guys, they're the exact same buildings. You know, the obelisks, the you know, like the Capitol building looks like they just like in Rome, in the Vatican, they all look the same. All those styled buildings. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, you can look it up. What year was the official date of the papacy? I think it's 598. Don't get me for that. It's something like that. And it's 1260 years, so do the math, to 1798. So the papacy really did go downhill from that point. And a lot of, you know, the press had already been made, and, you know, all of a sudden people could have the Bible. The truth came out. Martin Luther's thing had happened much before that, but now is really, really opening up. Give me a sec. But there was also something else. He's flopped out. He's like on his side with the legs sticking out. What was the other thing? Revelation 13. He who has wisdom, you know, the number of the beast is 666, saying that you can calculate it. And the seat of the vicar of Christ. This is Antichrist, okay? You have to admit this. The seat of the Pope, the vicar of Christ, represents Christ on earth. They believe, have you seen all the different canons? You're anathema if you do this, if you believe this, if you do this. It's satanic. There's no doubt that this is evil, but the seat is, what is it again? Vicarius Filii Dei. That's the name of the Pope's seat. If you calculate the Roman numerals of Vicarius Filii Dei, it equals 666. What's the chances? You know, there's a lot of people going out saying 666 is this or this or this. This is the most likely one so far. It says you can calculate it, but so it's in Roman numerals and you can calculate it, and there's one that people question, and I forget what I'd have to look it up right here, but it really does equal that. You're going to say no, it doesn't, because one Roman numeral one takes another place for a certain reason that really is supposed to be like that. Anyways, I will, if you want to see that, I'll leave it in the description box. I don't want to research that right now, but it's very easy to find what the difference is, because you're going to do the calculation and one Roman numeral is going to look incorrect to you. It's just because they have to replace, I think it's the V with something else, which they really do. Anyways, it comes out to 666. So I changed my view from that because, and I learned this before him, but when I heard him express it, it was Bishop Murray. The way he expressed it, I knew for sure that was it. That was it. So I'm going to get what that is in a second, and then I'll end this video. So let's go to Revelation 17. I have to study Ezekiel because it is important. So, guys, I believe America is the beast of the earth. America is the great fearful beast. That's what I believe. It's one of them. You'll see. You'll see. Let's just look at this first. Let me take a bite here, and you really have to think about this before you explain these things. I think I've put it in I've put it in writing before in my description box. Here's a mind that has wisdom. So this is Revelation 17:9. Wait. Revelation 17, verse 7. The meaning of the woman and the beast. But the angel said to me, why do you marvel? I'll tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was, is not, and yet is. Here is the mind that has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So they're like there's 7 hills in Rome. That's not what they're talking about. Okay, that's another thing about the Adventist view. 7 heads, 7 leaders, or like the 7 heads, are 7 mountains. These are powers. These are countries. These are nations. They're powers. A mountain is a power. The 7 heads of the beast are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. Okay, so now take this into consideration. Who is writing this? John the Apostle, the Revelator, right? The Revelator. You have to keep in mind the time that he's living in, the Roman Empire. 5 have fallen, 1 is. If 1 is and 5 have fallen, that means that John's time must be the 6th, because 5 have fallen. What are those 5 kingdoms? So right away we know they're talking about 5 previous kingdoms. We have to figure out what those are. and the other has not yet come. So 5 have fallen before John, the Roman Empire, which is the 6th, which is one is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was is not, is himself also the 8th, and of the 7th. So the 7th and the 8th are going to be of each other, and is going to perdition. So, number one, we have to figure out, this is so much better than the Adventist view. Doesn't make theirs completely untrue, though. We know there are major empires, and people go, well, what about the Chinese Empire? What about the Japanese Empire? It doesn't work that way. It's ones that have to do with Israel, that affect Israel. So let's think of the 5. The first one, Egyptian Empire. The second one, Assyrian Empire. The third one, Babylon. That's where they start. That's where the Adventists start. They don't count the other two. So that's the third, Babylon. Fourth, Medo-Persia, right? And the Medes. The 5th is Alexander the Great in the Greece, Hellenistic area. That's the 5th. Then the 6th is Rome. It's right on. So we know this. I'm giving you the wisdom. So that's the 6th. That means 2 more have to come. Who is it? Whoever it is going to have to directly deal with Israel, is my opinion. And they do, absolutely. The British Empire. The sun never sets on the British Empire, 1/3 of the world. They're the reason why, the Balfour Declaration, all that type of stuff, you think about all that type of stuff, the British meddled in everything, man. Everything. A lot you see today has to do with them. All of the Ukraine and stuff like that. All those people wouldn't have died if their prime minister with the blonde hair there hadn't gone and catapulted that deal. So if it's the British Empire, now let's read this. So it just says, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the one that has not come is the 7th, which is the British Empire, which came after. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast, don't get tricked about short times, about those types of things. Remember how long 1,000 years is to God. The beast that was is not is awesome. So they're calling this the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th and of the 7th. So there's going to be another one after the British Empire. Is himself also of the 8th. The beast that was and is not. Sorry, I have to think about this. They're saying the British Empire, whatever the one that's coming after the British Empire, is going to be associated with it. That's what it's saying. What came from the British Empire? The United States of America. Everyone who thinks that the U.S. would be left out, how could the United States be left out of Bible prophecy? They have 800 military bases around the world. Weapons that you can't even imagine. You see that attempt on his life yesterday? You know why that's happening? That's their desperate nature to keep the money flow going. That's what I believe. And I'm not saying they made that guy do that, but it's It's the kind of views that people have. Antifa, all this stuff is created by those people. And we don't really know what happened yet. They're trying to bring down the U.S. There is some good about the U.S., of course. And what is that? Salt and light, right? You look at them, and especially like California, democratic cities, it looks horrible. I wouldn't want to be in the States, man. I live in Canada, and it's bad enough, some of the stuff you see. So there it is. Which one would you choose? The Adventist view or this? I would say what the United States has done to the rest of the earth, like they have a claw in everything. I don't know what's going to happen. Also, you're going to say, well, what about the UN and what about the WHO? I don't know. My guess is it's the US. They have grips in everything. They've had power above Rome, way above Rome, much more powerful. And it was abused anyways. Took the dollar off the gold standard type thing, all that type of stuff. Just everything we see is just purposeful. So that's what I have to say, guys. Take your pick between those. Those are the things that I was grappling with, and of course I'm still looking at the UN, right? I'm still looking at the WHO to see what kind of powers they're going to try to take. One thing is clear to me: the globalists do not want the U.S. to function so they can be like the rest of the world. Globalism. No longer can you love your country. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. I'll say that flat out. God bless everybody.